What's up guys? After 6 days and 100 miles, it is time to do my full review on the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. Now I did my first run video last week, I did a preview after the embargo lifted on January 1st, and over the past week I've done every single run in this shoe. Everything from recovery days to a 16-mile medium long run to a 22-mile treadmill workout with 12 miles of quality pace at the low 6-minute and high 5-minute range. So I've put this thing through the paces, I've put this thing through the ringer, and it is the first ever shoe to go through my 100-mile week test. It's like Sway's 5 fingers of death. Any daily trainer that's coming through the office this year, it's going through the test. So before we get into it today, if you're interested in buying the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 when it releases in early February, please use my link. The shoe will be posted on Supwell as soon as it's available on Running Warehouse, and using my links on Supwell to buy will support the channel. It keeps me going. And also on Supwell, I have a promise to you runners that I'll always have the lowest price on a shoe. So even if that means I'm not going to be getting the commission through Running Warehouse, I'm going to have the deal that serves you guys. So make sure to go to Supwell when you're searching for your new running shoe. You can get matched with the shoe, you can find the lowest price deal, and you can support me by using my links. All right, let's get into it. So the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 is Puma's workhorse style daily trainer. It comes in at that 9-ounce range, and it competes with shoes like the Pegasus, the Cumulus, the Saucony Ride. And these shoes with a moderate amount of cushioning, they're designed to take up the bulk of your weekly mileage, no matter if you're running once or twice a week or you're training for a marathon and putting in triple digits like I've been doing over these past few weeks. This uses a dual foam construction, so similar to other shoes like the Nike Vomero and the Tracksmith Elliott Runner, the Adidas Boston 12. It has a softer layer of foam up here closer to the foot. This is the Nitro foam. It is a supercritical TPU. Then on the bottom, we have a standard EVA. It's going to be a firmer foam, provides a little bit of structure to the platform, and the idea is it gives it a little bit more durability as well. And of course, on the bottom here, we have this Puma Grip outsole, which I will get into in the outsole section, but I can say it has lived up to its reputation in terms of being a great traction compound. So in terms of price, this is receiving a $15 price increase from the past generation. So it's going to be priced at 130 euros in Europe. I thought it was going to be 130 USD. It's actually going to be 135 USD. So that puts it a little bit more expensive than the Pegasus, but right in between shoes like the Pegasus and the Ride, Pegasus and the Cumulus, those last two shoes are priced at 140. In terms of when you can buy this guy, this will be available February 1st. Once it's available, make sure to go to Supwell and use my link to buy it. So the primary compound in the midsole here is this Nitro foam, which is a supercritical TPU. Now TPU is one of the most durable foams out there. It's in shoes like the Saucony Triumph and the Adidas Boost. However, those shoes are using that beaded compound. In this shoe, it is a supercritical foam, meaning that there's been gas injected into it, which gives it a little bit more life and pop out there on the run. So through the course of my 100 miles in the shoe over the past 6 days, it has had a very consistent ride, a very consistent feel throughout the duration of that week. This midsole is going to be on the firmer side. You can see there's not a ton of flexibility here, but if you compare this flex here and how much I'm able to bend the shoe compared to when I first got it out of the box, the midsole definitely has softened up a little bit. That's something that I've found with all standard EVA foams, which is the bottom layer here. They do tend to soften up over the course of the life of the shoe, and this one is no exception. Now, I'm not sure how much that Nitro foam has softened up. It has given a very consistent ride, but it does feel like maybe a little bit smoother than when I first got it. So it's not as drastic of a change as something like the Boston 12. This still definitely is on the firmer feeling side when thinking about the midsole, but it feels like it's adapted to my foot a little bit more at the end of this 100-mile week. Alright guys, so we just officially capped off the 100 miles. We did a little bit of a 7-mile progression. So for context, yesterday I had that 22-miler, which was an absolute beast of a workout. It was one of those days where I wanted to attack some mileage and pace and really see where my fitness was at. And I was feeling pretty good. My legs felt great throughout that run, and this was the perfect shoe to support that type of effort. Now, it's not going to give you as much pop as a plated shoe, but it felt pretty darn close. And in my first run review of the shoe, I said, I'm not sure what what the Deviate Nitro 2 can offer that this can't. And maybe it's going to be more of that relaxed, ironically softer recovery character, because that is the one area where this shoe is a little bit lacking. This feels more like a workout shoe. It feels like more of a fast training shoe that I want to push the pace in while leaving my legs feeling a little bit protected than it does like a relaxed daily trainer. So of the current shoes that I have in my rotation, it is most similar to the Boston 12. Now that might come as a surprise to most of you, other than the fact that you guys are obsessed with the Continental rubber and Puma grip, but the reason that these are so similar, I believe, is because of the way that these midsoles are constructed. So these are both dual foam midsole. In the Adidas Boston 12, you have the Light Strike Pro, which is a supercritical TPE with the standard EVA on the bottom, and then those energy rods. So while there's no plate or rods in the Velocity Nitro 3, it rides very similar to the Boston 12 in that it's a firmer ride that really responds well when you push the pace. The difference is going to be though, the Boston 12 feels best at faster than marathon pace, and the Velocity Nitro 3 handles those everyday faster running paces a little bit better. So for some context, the marathon pace that I'm settling into right now, and I say settling into versus training for, because I like to let my training and my body dictate my race pace. So what I'm settling into right now is anywhere between 6:15 and 6:45. So Adidas Boston 12, I really like it for marathon pace and faster. For any type of longer run where I want to push the pace, that's where I'm going for the Boston 12. And the Velocity Nitro 3 has a really similar character that's going to be a little bit better for those shorter runs, and also for those runs where you're going to be going at a little bit more of a relaxed pace. Now, setting the Boston aside and going a little bit deeper into the ride of the Nitro 3 here, another thing that differentiates it from some of the plated shoes on the market is that it doesn't have much of a rocker profile at all. So it does have more of that traditional daily trainer feel, and that you're getting this flat bottom here. You are seeing a little bit of a toe spring up here, but you definitely don't have any of that rolling sensation. So you do have to use that calf and Achilles a little bit more, even though it's a 10mm drop shoe. And you do have to land further up in the midfoot or forefoot to really optimize the benefit of this foam. You'll also see though, for landing in the back, you do have a little bit more of a stable platform here with this standard EVA that we're seeing on the bottom. It's almost inspired by a deer hoof or something like that. You can see it's bifurcated here, and this is going to give you a nice planted landing platform out in the back. I will say at slower paces, and especially before the EVA broke in, it did feel just a little bit clunky out there in the back. So I would not recommend this as a primary running shoe for someone who wants something for those slower paces, or for heel strikers who know they're going to be going out there and mashing that heel for their everyday running efforts. Now I do land heel to midfoot, but I did get along with this shoe really nicely because when I used it for the majority of my runs, I ran with a little bit more strength, and over the past week I did push the pace a little bit more. So I think most of my miles in the shoe are around a 740. My volume's at around 110, 115 per week, and that's just the pace that I'm settling into for my everyday runs right now, and this felt like a great shoe for that work. The last interesting thing about the ride of the shoe, it's not immediately the most forgiving. It's not going to be something like a gel Nimbus or a 1080 when you go out there and you just sink into that foam and have this nice soft coddled feeling. However, after every single run I've done in the shoe, my legs have felt so fresh. Even after that 22 miler, the only thing that felt a little bit more sore than normal were maybe the bottoms of my feet from mashing on that treadmill for 2.5 hours. But in terms of my muscles and my joints, this does a really nice job protecting the legs. So the dual foam midsole in here is a huge success. So all of that is to say, if you can tolerate a little bit of a firmer ride, if you want something that will reward a little bit of a faster forefoot style pace, if you want to learn how to be a more efficient runner, or if you are an efficient runner, then this is going to be a really fun, fast shoe to run your everyday miles and even some workouts in. Alright guys, so in terms of the upper and fit, you can see here this has a little bit of a thicker upper. It's really high quality. It feels like they put a lot of attention to detail in this. I didn't have any issues with it feeling hot on foot on the treadmill, and it is decently breathable. I know that was one of the big concerns with the shoe. Now, I haven't ran in anything warmer than 70 degrees, so I can't tell you how it's going to be hotter than 75, 80 degrees, but I will say this is much better on the treadmill than something like the Gel Nimbus 25 was, which was the shoe that I probably had the most issues with overheating in the past year. The fit of this is pretty narrow, so let's just compare it to the Boston 12 because I have it sitting right here. You can see that the toe box of the Boston 12 is a lot wider than we see in the Velocity Nitro 3 here. This is a very skinny shoe, and it feels like that on foot. It has that rocket-like feeling. I was able to fit my foot in there, which is standard width with no issues, but if you are a wider footed runner, I don't think this is going to be a great choice for you. Now, I have emailed Puma. They did not get back to me on whether there's going to be a wide version of the shoe. I do not believe they're launching with it, but stay tuned. Once I get that information, I'll pass it along to you. Now, step and feel is not the most comfortable compared to other daily trainers, and that's because on the top layer of the foam here, you do have that Nitro, which is going to be a little bit of a firmer foam. I believe they have an insole in here that might be something different. Maybe it's the Nitro, but it's not going to give you a really soft sinking in feeling. That is one area where maybe they could improve it, but of course that's going to increase the price. I know you guys don't like that it went up to $135, so if they did add a Nitro Elite insole, I'm sure that would boost the price to at least $140. So again, this is a world of trade-offs, and one of the trade-offs with this shoe is that it's not going for comfort, it's going for durability and speed. Where the shoe is comfortable though is around the heel area. We have lots of padding. The tongue is more of a speed tongue. You can see it's very thin here, but throughout the back of the upper, we got nice lots of cushion around here. We got this power tape on the inside, which does lock the foot in place. I had no issues with feeling the platform was unstable, and that comes from the combination of this great heel lockdown with this firmer foam we get in the back. In terms of the lockdown, it was absolutely great in the shoe. I never had any issues lacing or relacing it. I didn't have to fiddle or fuss with the laces at all, and I had no issues with heel slipping. It felt very planted. Everything of the shoe felt well constructed, well built, both walking around and out there on the run. Alright guys, now in terms of the outsole, you will see here that I have rubbed after 100 miles my highest wear area of the shoe completely flat. However, they have given a really thick layer of rubber here, so it doesn't look like I've worn into the rubber itself. I've just smoothed out some of this texture that we see here. For the performance of the rubber, I ran in the pouring rain one day because I was hunting for that rainstorm with the shoe. I wanted to test the Puma grip. I did 4 miles with strides. My Apple Watch died at the 3rd mile, but the performance of the Puma grip was absolutely fantastic. It felt so planted. I think it might even be a little bit better than the Continental, but the next time we get a storm out here in the Carolinas, I'm gonna have to do a head-to-head comparison between these two. In terms of the durability of the shoe, I fully expect that I could get this up to 350, 400 miles. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon because I am trying to test a few more shoes, get some more daily trainers in here to give you the insights on the latest shoes. I will definitely get this up to 200 miles though, and maybe 300 miles and give you updates along the way. Now, in terms of who this shoe is best for, this is going to be great for a runner who wants something durable, reliable, and versatile that leans toward the faster end of the spectrum. So we talk a lot about versatility, and most of the shoes that are on the market today can be used for more than 1 or 2 types of runs. However, when using that word versatility for the Velocity Nitro 3 here, check out that consonants. What that's going to mean is you can use this for your everyday runs, you could use it for your recovery runs, you could use it for your long runs, you can use it for your fast runs, but it's going to be best for those faster efforts and for those runners who prefer a firm ride. So today in my first run, I did a 12-mile recovery run on the treadmill. It ended up being about 1 hour and 45 minutes. I was just moving the legs along, not too concerned about pace, and it felt okay, but for that style of run, sometimes I would prefer to have a nice soft cushion shoe like a New Balance 1080 on my foot. So when we're thinking about daily trainers, something like the Vomero or maybe even the Pegasus is going to be a little bit better for relaxed running than this, just because the foam in here really does respond well to faster paces, to putting some more force into it, and with that comes a little bit of this firmer, slightly harsher character for slower everyday running paces. So if you want a do-it-all shoe that can handle everything from short 4-mile runs with strides up to 2.5-hour long runs, the Velocity Nitro 3 is going to be your shoe. Now, Puma in all of their marketing copy for the shoe is calling it their perfect training partner, and after putting it through my 100-mile-week test, I can verify the marketing shtick sticks here. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.